Welcome back to the Strangers Worth Meeting podcast. Before we get into the show, I want to let you know that this episode is sponsored by our friends at Track Farms and their awesome CBD products. The thing I've been thinking about the most lately is workout recovery. I'm one of those types of people that I need to get that workout in every single day. I think rest days are my least favorite thing. I do them only because I absolutely have to, they say. But one of the big things for me is that I need to make sure I'm able to actually get a solid recovery in between those workouts, or else I'm not going to have as good of a workout the next time. My body's not going to feel good. My inflammation's not going to go back down. I'm always going to be inflamed. And for me, that's one big reason why I really like using CBD. It's been a huge thing. And like I've said on the podcast before, I have not experienced an actual effect of CBD until I started using Track Farms, specifically those CBD tinctures that they have. Those things are awesome, and you feel that working in your body immediately, relaxing, resting, taking that inflammation down. It's a huge thing. So right now, Track Farms is doing 15% off of their CBD products for you amazing listeners. If you go to track-farms.com/strangers, that'll prompt you to enter the promo code STRANGERS at checkout, and that'll get you 15% off. Go and try those tinctures. You can try a bottle. I like the real strong stuff that they have on there, but you can try this sort of more moderate version too. Try those out. See how that helps you with your recovery so that you can get back out there and keep doing all those amazing things with your body without dealing with that inflammation. So track-farms.com/strangers and enter code STRANGERS at checkout. Hey everybody, welcome back to a brand new episode of the Strangers Worth Meeting podcast. We're coming at you today from the great state of Washington. And my guest today is Alena Iskanderova. I wrote it down so that I could say it right. And Alena is a student in paleontology and in astrophysics. This is astrophysics, right?
Yeah.
And she's a bit of a science nerd, and I think that's pretty cool. Alena, welcome to the show.
Hi.
Thanks for being on.
Thank you for joining me today.
Yeah, so we had some fun earlier today. Can you tell the people, you don't have to tell them exactly where we went because I know it's a big secret, but would you tell them where we went and what we were doing earlier on today?
We were on a fossil hunt in EIC information, and we collected so many nice plant fossils and had kind of photo hunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had... We went about 2 hours outside of the Seattle area, out into the wilderness, and just did some fossil hunting for a few hours, and had a good hike too, and only got rained on a little bit.
Yeah, we were really lucky with the weather today. It's supposed to be rainy.
I'm getting used to it here in Washington, though. You know, it's like it comes and goes. Like even on the drive back, all of a sudden, I'm like seeing the sunniest day ever. Then 2 seconds later, it's raining so hard I can't see 10 feet in front of me.
Oh, that's true.
That's just how it goes here, isn't it?
Yeah. If you drive to Spokane, you can meet like different weathers every 20 minutes.
Yeah, I believe that. I believe it. Which is kind of annoying as a driver, but
yeah.
So I found you on Instagram because you had been making a lot of posts about just with a lot of different pieces of advice for other fossil hunters who are going out there. And to me, this is brand new. I mean, I guess in the back of my mind, I knew people went out and looked for fossils, but I didn't really have an idea as to the scope of this thing. It's quite a popular activity, especially around here. Is there a particular reason why, like, Washington State would be a better area for looking for fossils than, say, where I'm from back in Illinois or something?
I think mostly because we can collect a lot of invertebrates and plants, as we did today. In most locations, you can collect vertebrate fossils, like in Utah or Montana. So here is like a paradise.
Yeah, it really is. And we saw so many, and I didn't even I don't know, I guess I didn't expect to. It's like,
yeah,
there's something every step you take, really.
Yeah, that fossil site was really huge, like, deal. But usually you open concretions, there is nothing inside. So we were lucky today.
Yeah, we had a good day for it. So what got you into this field? I was kind of interested in that because I know that your background was in computer science. So what made you decide to pursue paleontology? Let's start with paleontology. What made you decide to go into that?
Oh, that's a great question. I've been asked quite a lot, but I don't remember like a particular reason why I started paleontology. I was like always digging some field. I was a child on a playground, digging the sandbox.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I loved that stuff when I was a kid too. Don't let me interrupt you, by the way. No, I was just agreeing with you. I feel like the best thing as a kid was when you go to like the Natural History Museum and they'd be the like fake dig site where it has the brushes and the shovels and the
Yeah,
sand.
that is really good stuff.
Yeah, and you have two kids of your own,
Yeah.
who also accompany you for some of this fossil hunting.
Yeah, I try to take them like on my every hand when it's possible. So on the locations where we were today, it's a little bit tricky for them to get to the like 3 ropes. Yeah, but usually they are with me all the time.
Yeah, it was mostly a pretty easy hike, but we did get to some sections that it was sketchy getting up
Yeah, a
there.
little bit.
Some good Samaritan hung some ropes up so that you can.
Yeah, last time I was a few months ago and it was just 1 rope. So today we found 3 ropes. So yeah.
Yeah, and I almost wiped out twice.
Yeah,
which
same
was-
with me. Like that's okay.
Yeah, it's the Pacific Northwest. It's just everything's just wet all the time,
Yeah.
and the rocks are just so slick.
Slippery. Yeah.
But there were some good views. So I think the tricky thing about this episode is I want to show people how cool some of the fossils we found were, but they just have to listen and I guess follow along. But if you, of course, go to Instagram, everybody, at T Hickson Life, I will have posted all of the great pictures of the things we found. But mostly we were finding plants today.
Yeah.
A lot of leaves and some stems.
Yeah, leaves and stems. This location is really popular with some birds, footprints, and some bones, but we can't collect it.
You can't collect it here.
No, we cannot.
So what is the reason for that?
So to collect vertebrate fossils or even like a footprint or take anything that is not invertebrates or plants, you have to have a permit. So if you work for National History Museum, like no problem.
But you have to be like an employee there? You can't just
Yeah.
be a volunteer or anything?
As far as I know, volunteers can still go along with the field trips, employers. Yeah, but you have to be very careful because if somebody will catch you on collecting vertebrate fossils, it's an astronomical like bill.
Right. But at the same time, it's sort of unfortunate because if you do find something, you just have to leave it there.
Not really. So you have to take a picture, GPS, then like surrounding areas, and then you can send it to your National History Museum. So it will be useful. Sometimes it's really upsetting. You can find some vertebrate fossil or like a bone, like in a lake or river, and like in few minutes it will be washed away, but still you can't collect it.
Oh, yeah. Well, that's what I was thinking about. Is just
That's true.
because you're there, and as long as you're someone who's responsible and passionate about it, and you want everything to go to the right place, not
Yeah.
just to throw it in your private collection or something,
That's true.
it would be nice if you did have the ability to pick it up somehow and get
Yeah.
it to the right people.
Sometimes if I pick in something, it doesn't mean that I pick the whole thing.
Mhm.
So I can leave a lot of traces, I can leave a lot of bones around. So that's why professionals should go and visit this location.
Do they show up often, or does it take a really long time to get into that system?
I think it depends. So if it's like a huge discovery, like T-Rex skull that was found by volunteers, by the way. So yeah, if it's like a little piece of a bone, that probably no.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's still interesting that you can't collect it, even if it is just a small piece. That's probably not.
Yeah, I think we should just like follow the rules because it's like all no. If you can collect a little piece, like you should collect like femur. If you can collect a femur, probably you can collect a skull. So
Yeah, so who's to say? It's sort
Yeah,
of too much
so-
of a gray area.
right.
Yeah, that's interesting. But this is something that you said you have done for a long time, going out and hunting for fossils and just sort of being interested in this. When did you actually start? Like, when did you actually start going out and looking for fossils specifically?
I was looking since I remember myself. So
Really?
for quite a long, yeah.
Yeah, I had never done it before.
I think
For
it's
some of us,
really,
it's brand new.
really fun. Yeah.
We did see a family out there who was doing it too, and the kids were
Yeah.
getting involved, and it seemed like kind of a nice family activity.
Yeah, I know. I think this is the best way just to like involve kids in all this fossil hunting and exploring nature. Wilderness is a really nice place for kids to play.
I agree with you. I mean, I definitely got outside quite a lot as a kid, and those are the best memories I have. You know, if I think
Yeah,
about it.
camping with your dad.
Yeah, absolutely. Those are the best times. So, what made you decide to switch into the paleontology more as like an actual career for yourself?
I would say that it was my family choice. So they highly advised me to go to computer science and have a master's degree and then like work a little bit in this field. But then if I would still keep this passion, then like go ahead. If you want to do paleontology, just do that.
So it's like more like to have a fallback,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
guess. Some sort of safety net,
Right.
which makes sense. I don't think I have a safety net, so I can't really even compare. But that sounds great.
Yeah, I can work like online. I can do some coding. Yeah.
That's pretty good. Well, it's a good skill to have. Like, I just think anything in computer science is useful, pretty much universally useful right
That's
now.
true.
We need that knowledge. It's not going to run out.
I agree. So in the future, I would like to do. So computers will help me in the future. I would like to do PhD in dinosaurs intelligence. So I would definitely use my computer science skills, CT scans, and like all this.
What is that? Say it again.
So CT scans.
No, but the
Dinosaurs intelligence.
Yeah.
Oh,
What
this
is
is
that?
like this is my favorite topic
Okay.
to speak about. Yeah. So we have all the different.
We have guests walking through, everybody.
Yeah. Hi. Nice wine.
Oh yeah.
So there are a lot of controversy about how smart were the dinosaurs. So in fact, just like a few years ago, it was in all social media that dinosaurs, and in particular Tyrannosaurus rex, was really smart, like a chimp. So actually, like, not really. So finally, there is a new paper. It came, I think, this year, like a few months ago. T-Rex was like a chicken, a little bit like probably less.
In terms of intelligence.
In terms of intelligence, right?
How do we know that? I mean, how would we possibly go about knowing that?
So we compare the brain size to the mass, and in proportion we can decide that probably this. So if comparing to the person, like a human, our intelligence, it's like EQ, it's like an our how smart we are. So let's say it's 6. Dolphins 5. And if we are talking about reptiles, it's like 0.001. For birds, let's say like 0.1, chimps 2. So it's like give you an understand like
Kind of a scale.
Yeah, a scale. Yeah, how smart they are.
And so where does T-Rex fall then?
So T-Rex is a little bit less smart than a chicken.
Where are chickens on that?
Like 1.
Like a 1?
Yeah.
At the same time though, and this is something interesting I
Mhm.
got to learn today, the dinosaurs were around for a stupid long amount of time, like
Yeah.
a crazy amount of time. And humans have been around for just a second, and we're pretty well destroying the planet.
Oh, that's true.
So I don't know who's defining intelligence at the same time, because
That's true.
at least they were surviving for like a really, really long time. But you told me about how old humans were in relation to the scale of the entire Earth. And how old did you say, like Homo sapiens?
Yeah, so we started our path 600 years ago. 600,000.
600,000.
Yeah.
That's just a blip in the radar.
That's just like 5 seconds if we're talking about like a 24 hours clock.
Right. So some of the specimens that we looked at today, how old were those that we were looking at?
They were Eocene, early Eocene, about 52 million years.
Which is still just sort of a blip on the radar. Like, it's
That's
still
true.
so small in terms of this. How old is the Earth? I'm trying to remember my actual numbers here.
So 52
50, 52.
million years, Eocene.
That era. But
Yeah.
but what about the entire Earth though?
Oh, 4.5 billion.
Right. Okay, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That's a lot of billions.
That's really interesting. And if you think
Happened.
about like our future, so our star will turn to white dwarf in about next 8 billion.
So the Earth as we know it,
Yeah,
about
won't
a
exist.
third of its life
Right.
through.
When I heard it first, it was a mind blowing. So we already passed 1/3 of solar system existence.
So this is the other interesting part about you, which we didn't get really to talk about today, which is the astrophysics side of things. So what is your interest there? Where did that come from?
It was 9 years ago. I was introduced to one platform which provided so many like perfect, interesting online courses, and at that time they were free. And I found Caltech. cosmology. I've never was like really interested in astrophysics or like anything space specific. So I took this course. Like my husband challenged me, like, can you do that? He's a physicist. So yes, I did it. It was probably the most challenging course in my life.
Really?
Yeah, and then I started like one after another.
What was so challenging about it?
A lot of math. Yeah, a lot of physics and like so many pulsars. So the cosmology course, it took overview of probably like everything.
So it was just like an intro to
Yeah,
all pieces of it.
yeah.
That's really cool. So you like looking into the past very much.
Yes, in both like through the telescope or yes, digging for fossils.
This is a big thing for you. What do you think interests you so much about looking into the past?
It's interesting to see how we evolved from where, and it will help us to understand probably where we're going.
Right, because as soon as you can zoom out from any problems that we have today, and not just zoom way back and look at humans, but zoom even further back and look at
Yeah.
the entire Earth or the entire universe.
Yeah, so for example, right now we are going through mass extinction, and for us to understand where we are going, so we can just look at the previous ones.
What does mass extinction mean?
It means that at least 75% of all species wiped out in the past. So the most famous, I would say, was like late Cretaceous, when all known avian dinosaurs vanished, and it was really like a big deal. So right now we are facing pretty much the same.
Do we know what happened in that first event?
It was not the first, it was fifth in a big five. So right now it's like 6 mass extinction. Before it was a climate challenge for many species. The fifth, so the late Cretaceous, it was probably because of the asteroid.
Right, that was the thing I had heard growing up as a kid, was the
Right.
asteroids were what wiped out the dinosaurs, and that was sort of the story, and then mammals
Yeah.
came from there. But do we have a record of that? Like, is there an actual?
Yeah, we do. It's in South America. So we can just look at this huge crater.
How was that able to wipe out so much of the species of the Earth all that time?
So when it hit the Earth, I did such a huge mistake. It's not South America.
Okay.
It's Mexico.
Okay. So it is in North America.
Yeah, this is in North America.
That's okay. I won't tell anybody. It's just recorded forever.
Okay.
So what is it about an asteroid hitting that would cause that?
So first of all, when a body of this size hit the Earth, it was a huge heat attack, like everywhere around. And I would say that the mass, the like diameter of this asteroid was like huge, like comparing to like a state. So it hit the Earth, and the heat waves, they destroyed everything on the way. Then huge tsunamis started. It all caused like fires for like endless. It raised carbon dioxide in the atmosphere, and then it blocked the sun, all the ash and from all the fire, so it blocked the sun, which caused pretty long winter. Ocean acidification started, so it was like a huge disaster.
How were some animals able to survive that?
That's a great question. Honestly, like I would say a few months ago, we found a very interesting site. It showed that the life and the balance stabilized probably like in 100,000 years. So before it was thought it took about 1 million.
So it even went faster after that?
It was really like much faster than we thought.
Wow. My mind's a little blown thinking about this kind of thing. So we're in another one now, which is man-made? I mean, is that?
Primarily, yes.
Because
Yeah,
we're taking...
because we are increasing carbon dioxide, and it's increasing the global temperatures.
I've never heard anybody explain it easier to me, any easier of a concept than Elon Musk talking about it. Because I've heard him, the way he describes it, which is we're taking huge deposits of carbon from under the ground, bringing it up and putting it into the atmosphere.
Yeah.
So we're just taking the carbon from there. And that, to me, what you're describing with that asteroid sounds like that's almost the exact same thing happened. Just too much carbon dioxide into
quite the same process. That's true.
Does that worry you?
Yeah, sure. It should worry everyone.
How fatalistic are you about the future of the Earth here, or the future of humans, given that we're doing that?
Honestly, I have a hope that studying the past and understanding what we are going through probably will help us prevent something in the future.
Right.
We should reduce, of course, all these human activities that increase the global temperature increase.
Do you think that we will be able to do that on a radical enough timeline to make a difference?
I saw a lot of studies about that, and there are endless books. So one of them is a really nice one. It's called Sixth Extinction. So I highly recommend to read it, everyone. If we will keep the current produce of carbon dioxide without any change, so we have just probably few hundred years. So I think it's worth thinking.
Yeah, that's not that many human lifetimes, really.
That's true.
It's only a few generations from now.
Yeah.
Ouch.
Yeah, we should change.
Well, I agree. I think the challenging thing for me is I don't even know where we start. I mean, I feel like there's things we can do as individuals to try to help make a difference. I'm not one of them with my big diesel truck, but I try to do some other things to be good about it. But ultimately, it's happening on such a bigger scale than I can even impact. It feels like I wonder how that'll pan out. But this is dark. This is depressing.
Yeah.
This is too sad.
That is too sad. That's true.
But you are a big Elon Musk fan,
yes,
from what I understand.
Yes, he's a genius.
Yeah, well, I think so too. I think he's a really cool dude. And SpaceX, as of the recording of this podcast, SpaceX first manned. Was it the first manned, or was it just that the first one to go to the International Space Station that just happened?
It's not the first man, but so we had people in space before. We had a lot of astronauts.
But I thought it was the first SpaceX manned mission.
Yes, yep.
For them.
The first people, yep.
And that just happened.
Yeah.
That's a moment in history right there.
I know. I think we all watched the launch and we're celebrating.
Yeah. Do you think that we'll be able to colonize Mars like he wants us to?
In some centuries, yeah, we should.
How do we even go about doing that?
We will build a colony there. It's an interesting question to think about. So if we have some unhabitable place, so we should make it habitable. Grow some vegetables.
And do some terraforming.
Yeah.
Right? I really would love to see that happen in my lifetime.
I'm not sure if it will happen in our lifetime, but...
Do you think they'll start? I mean, because we haven't had a manned mission to Mars at all yet. So do you think that that's something I can look forward to, possibly?
Even if we'll have a mission, so to colonize and start terraforming,
right.
I don't think it will happen really in our life.
Wow. We'll always wonder.
But I will be happy to be wrong.
At the same time, I feel like we don't necessarily know, because at the rate technology moves, maybe we have robots that are even better than we would be at terraforming and launch them up there in 10 years and they take care of it.
Yeah, that would be pretty cool, yeah.
Some AI that we let loose on the planet Mars.
Yes. Who knows?
Yeah. Well, I certainly don't, because this is not my area at all. But but it seems cool. So just as an average dude thinking about putting life on Mars, that seems kind of cool. Also seems like it's not really within our purview. It's almost we're not allowed to do it, I feel like, in a way. We're on this planet and we're going to go mess with some other ones.
I hopefully think that we will stop mess with this planet. And hopefully all the situation these days will help us understand what is important.
So instead of Mars being like a life raft for us because we've destroyed Earth, your hope would be that we could colonize that and Earth could actually, like, we could go on living here.
I would say
ourselves
that
out.
solar system exploration is natural process, so that's like part of our exploring. But we should stop mess up with this planet.
Yeah. Do you believe in aliens?
Theoretically, yes.
What about realistically?
Um,
Do you think we've made contact with aliens? Because they just
just
released all
released
those UFO
CIA. Yeah, I know. I read it.
footage,
That's really interesting. Yeah.
but you don't buy it.
I would say that I think that probably we had a contact. I don't know. But for me, like, why are we like not releasing everything?
Right. Like, why is it a big secret then?
Right. So if we had a contact, so okay, let's change our mindset. We're not alone.
How would that look? What would we do differently?
It's a good question. So hopefully people won't start buying weapons.
That's where we're at right now.
Yeah, that's what I see right now. So probably like informing about aliens is not the right time.
Yeah, that's probably true. I'm fascinated by the concept for sure of alien life and potentially making contact with us. I think that's really, there's so many ways to look at it that of course it just gets my mind going. But I really think about how advanced an alien life form would have to be in order to actually travel to this planet and make contact with us in some way. And I have to think they, at that point, wouldn't be here to try to fight with us. Because why would they?
I don't know.
They probably outclass us by like 1,000 steps.
Probably they do look at us as we explored some snails and ants today.
Yeah, right. I mean, we're just going to be a footprint at some point
Yeah.
that we were here.
Yeah, but our planet is a like good resource.
Do you think it's a good resource just for humans, or do you think
It's a good resource for like any organism.
like that's carbon based?
Yeah.
Right. The water, the air,
Yeah.
all that good stuff.
Atmosphere, air, soil, water, oceans.
Do you in your classes have you explored any other planets that are potentially life supporting?
I did astrobiology class.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are like certain ingredients how the life could technically be on any planet. So it should be not too far from the sun, not too close to the sun.
Mhm.
So the spinning and like we have few potentials. Like Europe, for example, another good is Mars. It's another potential. Plan B
Plan B for
humankind.
yeah, where there are some of those things, just not all of
Yeah,
them.
and it's only in our solar system.
Mhm.
So if you look further, there are like a lot of potentially planets that could be our like second Earth, and there are a lot of them.
Really?
So it means that technically life definitely exists on other planets.
That's crazy.
Yeah, we just don't know in what form and how
Right.
involved.
Right, and where they're at
Yes,
in their
and
evolution
how
too.
far, right. Yes, and where in evolution.
Because they could be so far ahead of us, billions of years ahead of us, or billions of
Yeah,
years behind us,
That's true.
and they're still just bacteria. This is some good stuff.
Yeah, and if you think about like the mass extinction, late Cretaceous, and all dinosaurs, all non-avian dinosaurs who vanished away, if that episode won't happen to us, we won't be here.
Mm-hmm.
So we are, as mammals, we evolved after dinosaurs.
Right, exactly. And we may not have even, had it not been for that mass extinction.
Yeah. So it took us 5 global extinctions for the humankind to evolve.
So to go back to the dinosaurs, then, what happens if I bring up Jurassic Park around you?
I
it
love
seems
this
like-
movie.
Oh, you do?
I love this movie, yeah.
I wouldn't think you'd be neutral about it. I think you'd either really love it or really hate it.
I think everyone loves it. We see some mistakes, Yeah, but we still love it.
What are the biggest mistakes? What do they get wrong the most?
I would say like the size of some theropods and their social behavior. So, for example, do they really hunt and attack in groups like wolves do today? Probably no. We don't have any evidences about that.
So they weren't packed up.
I would say that probably they were opportunistic hunters, so they would share like jaguars or lions do today, but not like pack hunters.
Right.
The way we think.
Not like those dogs in Africa that communicate
Yeah.
with each other and surround prey and do all that
Yeah.
crazy stuff. How about the CGI of the actual dinosaurs themselves? Like, how realistic is the look of everybody's? Like, let's call Jurassic Park the conventional understanding of what a dinosaur looks like. How off are they in making them look sort of reptilian? I mean, we know the shapes are right.
The shapes, yeah.
We think they're right.
Yeah, yeah. Technically, like 90%. Yeah, I'm good with that. But the posture was not really. So the T-Rex was a little bit like upright, which is supposed to be more horizontal.
Okay.
Yeah, but also the feathers were absent.
Yes, you told me about some of the feather things today. Because, of course, I've heard, like many people have heard, that maybe dinosaurs had feathers.
Yeah, they did. A lot of them. A lot of theropods, they were feathered.
But it's not like how we think of bird feathers.
Some had like pretty much bird's feathers. Some had like stage 2 of feathers, so it's like in evolution step backs.
So it was like it's like the
Fuzz.
appendix, right? It's like it's just hanging on.
It was a little fuzz.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they were like covered in filaments.
What would be the use of that? Just for staying warm, maybe, or?
For staying warm, for display. So probably they display like birds do today to attract females.
Right. That's so crazy to think about.
I know.
Just a time in history where we're definitely not around, but these guys are just roaming all over, roaming through Seattle.
They might be, yeah.
Oh, man. So would you bring a dinosaur back to life if you could? I've always understood that the theory behind that movie, the idea of them being able to find blood that they can then replicate DNA off of, is pretty preposterous.
So if we're talking about DNA, that probably like no, we won't be able to do that. So DNA will stay like not longer than 1 million years. And if you would like to, for example, replicate T-Rex, so we need to preserve it for 66 at least.
Right. So that's not an apt way to go about.
Not with DNA, yeah. But there are some proteins that could stay even longer than 100 million years.
Well, that's enough time.
That's enough time, yeah.
Do you think someone will attempt it at some point?
So right now we are pretty far from replicating dinosaurs. I would say we are pretty far from like replicating mammoths,
Right.
or animals that went extinct like a few years ago.
What's the barrier for that? Why are we not able to do that?
Science. So we just need to develop the right instruments to do that.
Is that smart, or is it too dangerous? I mean, I think the point of Jurassic Park is like, don't mess with the science because you won't be able to control it.
Yeah, so we had 5 movies to prove that it's not a good idea.
And you've seen all 5, I'm sure.
Yeah.
I think I've only seen the original, of course, and then the first remake with Chris Pratt, but I didn't see any of the other ones.
I think they're all like good.
In what way do you like them? Do you like them because of your obsession with dinosaurs?
Yeah, probably yes.
Just to be able to watch them
Yeah.
live
Yeah,
their
I
life?
was just a little girl when I started the first Jurassic one, so it's like kind of memories.
Yeah. Well, I thought it was funny today, even when I pulled up to meet you at the trailhead, and you were nowhere to be found. You were gone. You were in the creek looking for other bits of fossils and petrified wood and things like that. Can you even kind of help yourself as you walk down the street from, well, not down a city street, but in a park or something like that? Are you
No.
always looking?
No, I think people are suffering because I had to look at every single rock.
Right.
So if I know that the stratigraphy is right, so it's a Eocene or something like not recent sand, I would go and look every single rock.
Right. So one of the things that you do that I thought was very cool is that on your Instagram you give a lot of advice for other fossil hunters, like gear, somewhat how to go about doing it responsibly, looking for fossils and what to look for, things you found. What drives you to want to be able to communicate that to other people?
A lot of people still contact me about all this information. How did I start and how could they start fossil hunting? So I decided to make just a series of posts to help
people to get into that world.
Yeah, so I hope that everyone can do that like properly. Like, do not disobey the rules, regulations. You can get into trouble, and it also will create a bad name for the rest of us.
Right. You were telling me about some people who were doing some
That's
pretty unethical
unbelievable,
things. Yeah. What's the worst thing that an amateur does that they don't even necessarily realize?
I would say that story with dynamite that I shared before, that was like a huge deal, and I have no idea why he did that.
So tell everybody the story so that they get an idea what you're talking about.
So we had a really nice formation in Washington State, which is now closed because few, I would say, local hunters kept constantly destroying private and public roads. They were trying to grab as many concretions as possible, and this location is really good because of well-preserved crabs and concretions. So right now we don't have access to it.
What's the driving force for them to do that? Is there a big black market in the fossil world?
It's not a black market, so you can legally collect invertebrates.
But people must be looking for something more.
Yeah,
If there's a way to be illegal, someone's going to find a way to want to do it.
that's true. That's sad, and honestly, it creates a bad name for like all of us.
Right. So Washington seems like it's quite a hotbed for fossil hunters. Are there other spots in the U.S. that you find a lot of people coming from?
Montana,
Really? What's there to find in Montana mostly?
T-Rex, for example, and
Mm.
all the wonderful, like, huge predators. So the most famous is Hell Creek Formation, and probably this is Mecca. Everyone wants to go there.
Have you been?
No,
When are you going?
I hope soon.
Yeah. Is it not all searched out after all the people have gone there?
we can't go without permit.
Mm.
So I hope to join a field trip.
That's cool.
Yeah. Other way is if you go to the private quarry, so you can collect some vertebrates from the private quarry.
You can actually collect vertebrates there,
That's
not just
true.
invertebrates.
Yeah. So from the private and public land, they have very different regulations.
Oh, sure. So it's really about what the owner of the land wants, I guess.
That's true.
What happens if something amazing is found on someone's private property, like in someone's backyard? I'm sure it's happened.
Yeah. So if you have a permit to collect fossils and gems, so you can collect it.
Hmm.
Like it's a separate permit.
Right.
And if you have a huge land and the stratigraphy is right, I highly recommend to have this permit.
So that you can...
Yeah, you can
Collect for
collect
yourself.
everything.
So one of the things that you do is when you find a particularly interesting specimen, you mentioned that you get it to the museum here.
Yeah, so just last weekend I found this nautiloid in a formation that's like very unusual for these little creatures. Nautiloids, they're cousins of ammonites. So this one, like little one, I think this is Aturia angustata. And this is a very rare one. So I would like to probably donate it to our natural history for them to study.
That's the Museum of Natural History here
Yep,
in
in Seattle.
And they work with the amateur fossil hunters in the region to be able to do this? They have a good relationship?
I would say that they would be happy if somebody will donate a nice piece of fossil.
Right. That's cool. I'll have to go check it out because I haven't. I don't know if we're gonna have time while we're here though. Unfortunately, and
I
it
think
might
it's still
closed.
closed.
That's a bummer.
Yeah, that's
I-
my favorite place.
I'll come around next time I'm here.
Yeah, you definitely should.
So you have quite an interesting story as well, and obviously the listeners probably the first thing they noticed about you was your accent, and you've told me you speak quite a number of languages.
Yeah, so English is my third language. I started with my mom's and dad's. So my mom is Russian and my dad is Bashkirian. So he speaks different dialect. Bashkirs, they are Turkic ethnic group, like Locals, Mongolian people. So I'm quite a mixture.
Yeah, I can't imagine knowing three languages. I
Um,
barely
my-
know one.
My granddad did speak 9 languages.
Really?
Yeah, so I'm not that good.
Wow. That's crazy. But do you primarily speak English? Not to your husband though. I heard him talking to you on the phone.
Yeah, we did speak Russian, so it depends on where we are. Unfortunately, our kids did not speak Russian.
Mm. Just not
They do understand, but it's very complicated language.
Right.
So yeah, for him, it was much easier just to grab English.
Yeah. And you've had the kids with you lately while you're doing your classes because they're all out of school right now.
Yeah.
Man, how's that going?
Honest.
Yeah, honestly.
Terrible.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm really honest. I do appreciate what our teachers do because they have a huge class of 25 kids, and I can't really manage my own too.
When do they think schools are going to open back up?
Probably September.
Wow.
But I still have no idea if it will be September or winter. They're like different people telling different stories.
Right. I still wonder what's going to happen at the end of well, not at the end of, but after the protesting, because we have huge gatherings of people happening really quickly right now, and we don't know what that's going to look like at the end of it.
Yep. And probably the corona situation will change dramatically. So we don't know.
Right.
But I think more realistically, it's winter. So everything will be closed.
That's tough.
That's tough for moms, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, jeez. And you're, you mentioned that you have them taking some of your classes with you, like your marine biology class.
I had no choice, I would say. Yeah, I tried. I gave up like a few months ago.
And so now, well, I think that's good. They get to view your educational content too.
That's true. And honestly, I was so surprised with them, like talking on like really detailed scientific topics between each other.
Right. Oh, really?
Yeah. Yeah, my son was just 2 years old, and I was watching about Big Bang.
Mm-hmm.
And then he brought me a paper with like some bursts everywhere of colors. And I was like, what is that? Like, it's a Big Bang.
That's pretty cute.
Yeah.
That's fun. So do they get into science with you?
I think, yes, for my son, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
He's very into science.
Your daughter's probably a bit too young to show.
Yeah, she's just a baby.
Yeah.
Yeah. But
Well-
she loves all these like little crabs on the shore, and she can play all the shells. So yeah, she's on the right way.
Right. So you have quite a collection of fossils yourself then, which your husband's probably not super thrilled about being all over the place. We brought him some more today.
Yeah, I think I should organize this collection. During the last 4 months, I was on a fossil hunt probably like every week.
Yeah.
So you can't imagine it's everywhere. Like really, like even the floor in my bathroom, it's like everywhere. It's covered with petrified wood.
Right. Right. And you brought some today that we're checking out here.
Yeah, some cool.
Some pretty intense ones. Which one was what's the really big one there again? Remind me.
So this is the longest claw. You can hang it if you like. So this one is from Therizinosaurus.
That's as long as my forearm.
I know.
And I have a long forearm too.
Yeah, you're tall.
Jeez. This is a claw
Yeah, from a hand.
from a hand.
From a hand.
Sure.
And can you guess he was a herbivore?
Why would he need such a giant claw then?
Sometimes this dinosaur is called a sloth dinosaur.
Oh, for hanging on to things or something?
No, he was just pretty heavy and heavy
Mm.
build, so I don't think he was hanging on a tree, but probably he was using his claws for protection first and just to help him get to the branches to get some leaves.
Whoa. And we've got a T-Rex claw, or is that a tooth?
So this is a claw.
A claw.
Yeah, and this one is a tooth with a base.
Pretty much the same size.
I know, like
which is
so
kind of incredible.
huge.
Like the size of my hand. Jeez.
Look at the serration.
Yeah. No, I'm okay without a Jurassic Park scenario. I think it'd be pretty intense to see those guys walking around again. We wouldn't fare too well against them. I mean, actually, we would probably. I guess we have guns and things, but still.
So right now, I think they're trying to like fill the gaps, take in the chicken DNA. So I don't think really it will be like really dinosaurs if it were before.
Right. But something that.
Yeah, so it's genetically built.
Did I already ask if that's going to happen in our lifetime?
I hope so. Yeah, I think probably. We are far from it, but
Oh
yeah,
my
this
God.
branch of science developing really rapidly, so who knows? That would be very interesting.
Yeah. So how would someone go about getting started fossil hunting themselves if they've never done it before, like I hadn't?
So first, you really need to look into regulations. This is important. The second is learn about the stratigraphy. So what areas, what age, and like what kind of stones are there. So if, for example, this place is sedimentary stones, shale, 50 million years old, just go try to dig it. Fossils are everywhere.
I think that's true. I mean, even when we first started today, I was literally looking like directly at something, and I was like, well, what are we seeing? And you're like, well, look at that, the giant one right in front of you.
Yeah.
It's almost like one of those things where until you think about it, you're not going to necessarily notice on your own. But as soon as you start noticing, you see it everywhere.
That's true. I found a few really nice specimens in downtown. I found a mushroom, 3-dimensional, so very good preservation, and I found a pine cone just in downtown.
Where at, like in some sort of rock pile somewhere?
No, I was just working with family, and then I like, wow, what is that? So I picked a little one, so it was a mushroom.
Wow.
Yeah, half of a cup.
Yeah. So if you keep your eyes peeled,
That's true.
you can just find stuff anywhere.
Yeah, they're literally everywhere.
Right. I'm definitely going to be looking now.
Yeah, look for like little brachiopods,
Okay.
like snails.
Yeah. That's super cool. Obviously, the whole thing's brand new to me. But now I feel like every time I go out on a hike, I'm going to start just finding things left and right.
Yeah, just check the stratigraphy. So you have to make sure that this is the right age.
Right. How can you tell that? Where would you check that?
You can just Google stratigraphy map of your region.
Okay.
Yeah, so you have like, so how the stratigraphy maps are built. You have like a regular map, and it's overlapped with the right ages and the types of the stones. So you can just go to the right unit and try to find something.
Right. And it doesn't take, I mean, it's not like there's a huge barrier for entry here. You don't need a ton of gear. You don't need a ton of anything. You probably need to enjoy hiking.
Oh, you don't need a
That's about
gear, especially if you're just like very close to like public. If you go to the wilderness like we did today,
Right.
I highly recommend to have some security and protection.
Right.
This is important. So we have a lot of mountain lions and bears here. And you heard some shooting, so yeah.
Yeah, we heard some shooting and we found some bullet casings, which is
Yeah.
cool. I don't know what
Which we're
happened
not
there.
supposed to be there.
No, that's what people are gonna do. I like shooting ranges. Shooting ranges are fun. Just go to the shooting range.
I'm half Russian, I do love too.
Yeah, that's true. But don't go into the wilderness where you're not supposed to and start shooting guns because
Yeah.
you probably, I mean, you could hit someone
Yeah,
or
you
you could
can hit
damage
somebody.
something.
There are a lot of people there.
They could be just shooting. They could be shooting into what they see as a pile of rocks, and just wreck a great fossil too.
That's true.
And that's not cool, guys.
No cool.
Stop taking your guns out everywhere you are just because you have one. Doesn't mean you have to show it off all the time. This is funny. It's ironic because the last episode, we talked a lot about guns because I went out to a shooting range in Grand Junction and we talked about it's like self-defense and all that kind of stuff, and that was kind of cool. But today was about defending ourselves from mountain lions mostly. Have you seen one out on the trail yet?
Yeah, I did. So when I got to the top, I saw a mountain lion. It was like standing 30 feet, probably. Like, it's still close.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so I started like, hey, I'm here.
So you make noise with mountain lions?
I started making noise. I have a whistle just in case. So the first, like, what I do, I'm just like raising my hammer and my equipment, my jacket, so just to pretend I'm a huge mammal.
Right. Did it take off or did you back out of the area?
No, it disappeared.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but it was a lucky day for me. I know that a few of my fellow hunters, local hunters, they witnessed mountain lions pretty close from them and they did not disappear. So one was alone in the wilderness and the mountain lion followed him all the way down. So it took us about an hour, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so the whole hour he was scared to death because the mountain lion followed him, without like any escaping techniques or something.
Yeah, I was just stalking him all the way down.
Yeah, and it was scary.
You didn't tell me that before we went on this hike.
I'm sorry, I have all the equipment
You
and
should have
knives.
disclosed the danger of what we were doing. I know, I do get scared. I do get scared, especially when I go running, because I know mountain lions like when you run. It's like, it's fun for them. It's like a cat watching a mouse run by instead of a mouse sort of slowly walk by. It's a little different of a reaction.
It's very rare when mountain lions are stalking people. They usually avoid.
Right. This guy must have been hungry.
I think he was just curious.
Probably.
Yeah, he was just curious.
Probably. Just a giant cat that could eat your face off easily.
Yeah.
Yikes. Well, that's fun. I'm honestly glad we didn't have the biggest thing we saw were slugs, because you have a ton in the Pacific Northwest here.
Yeah, we do. That's funny. They're immigrants like me.
Yeah, you were so tell us a little bit about that, because you already explained it to me, but the listeners have no idea what you mean.
So the slugs and snails, they are not originally from Pacific Northwest. They were brought from Europe, and it's like a French cuisine. So something went wrong, and they are everywhere.
That's crazy.
I know.
That's like how the Everglades now are completely overrun with snakes and all these crazy fish and things like that, just because people have just left them out there and they just take over.
Yeah, somebody brought possums to New Zealand, so it's everywhere in disaster.
Yeah, you mentioned that there was some place where...
Yeah, so honestly, when I lived in New Zealand, there were so many signs like everywhere, kill the possum, save New Zealand. Yeah, because they are destroying so many crops and birds.
What can you do with a dead possum? Do they eat them?
Yeah, they do. They
eat them?
Yeah. I know.
That can't taste
Apex
good.
predator.
There's gotta be... Yeah, okay, so an opossum is an apex predator on this
island.
This island. Which doesn't make any sense.
I know.
Because of course they're not. But I guess that's the best thing. What do? Do you bring in another predator to take out the possums?
Hopefully not.
We've messed with things too much already.
Yeah.
I think that is crazy when we see different types of plants and animals in places where it's like, I don't think you actually belong here.
Yep.
But then even today, one of the biggest things we saw were those palm leaves, the imprints of the palm leaves on a lot of those rocks, which looked incredible, but it doesn't look anything like the vegetation looks now.
It was quite a different vegetation. So 50 million years ago, it was very warm, very like high humidity, like jungle. Rain were constant. So please, 7 months of rain right now, it's not too bad.
Yeah. So it was just like, it would have looked entirely different at that time.
It was, yes, entirely different. And a huge bird, 7 feet tall, were here.
7 foot tall bird?
Yeah.
But not a dinosaur.
No. So technically all birds are avian dinosaurs. So yes, dinosaurs.
But not the way we think of it.
Yes. So finally, birds are dinosaurs. I'm so happy about that.
We're starting to kind of get on board with that. So if they remade Jurassic Park, then in the current image we have of dinosaurs, they would have some feathers on them, and they would be T-Rex would be a little more leaned over.
We still don't know if T-Rex in particular was feathered. So there are a lot of controversy right now if it was feathered, if it had some fuzz, or it was completely scaly. So we don't know. We have a little specimen, so 3 very good preserved scales. So we show that he was scaly at this particular parts of the body. One on hip, neck, and I believe somewhere at the beginning of the tail.
Right.
So these particular 3 pieces show that it was scaly one. But it doesn't mean that he was not fuzzy at the tip of the tail or behind the neck, or even so filaments can constantly be between the scales.
So how do we know that? I mean, what even prompted us to think that there might be feathers then?
We need finds with very good preservation. It's very hard for feathers to be preserved,
right?
Especially in the Hell Creek Formation. So it's a little bit different from China, where a lot of feathered birds were found.
Just because the minerals there are different?
No, so that particular location in China, it was covered in ash. And so many soft tissues and feathers, really delicate, skin, they are very good preserved.
Okay. What about see, this is fun for me as an episode, because I just get to ask all the questions about dinosaurs that I ever wanted to know, which is a lot, because there's so much information about dinosaurs that gets changed.
And it's changing constantly, yeah.
What about the, I feel like there was something a while back about, if I'm not mistaken, Brachiosaurus being too heavy to actually stand on its legs or something like that. Wasn't this a thing? I wish I had a better reference, because
I have not heard about it.
I'm crazy. This was something I definitely had heard, which was somehow they had done the math on how heavy that animal would be and what they think are the legs, and they don't think they would actually support that amount of weight physically.
So was it supposed to lay down?
I don't know.
I'm curious.
The ones in Jurassic Park are walking in the water. Here, I'm gonna look it up so that
I have not heard about that. I think he was pretty. So we have a lot of footprints that prove that he was definitely working around.
Right. I thought it was just that the model somehow was.
Oh, that's interesting.
Here, let's see. First of all, may have weighed about 62 tons. That's crazy.
Heavy guy.
It says it was declared the largest dinosaurs ever, but other sauropods are now believed to have been bigger and heavier than Brachiosaurus.
Yeah, there are quite a lot who consider it. So when we think about the biggest dinosaur, we should think about was it the heaviest, the longest, the tallest? And quite honest, when it comes to sauropods, there are 3. So one is the heaviest, one is the longest, one is the tallest.
I didn't find anything, by the way. Apparently I made this up.
Okay.
I tried.
Okay.
I know this was a thing.
Really?
Someone listening to the podcast needs to tweet me and back this up, because I swear this happened at some point. Maybe it was just
That's interesting. I've never heard about it.
Yeah, no, I'm not finding anything. Gosh. But then I feel also I've heard about researchers putting together fossils in a certain formation, to decide a certain shape of a dinosaur, and then a few years later they completely change their minds and it's an entirely different shape. Has that happened before?
It happened to my favorite dinosaur.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so I deeply love Trodon. It's a theropod, probably 2 meters long. One of the most intellectually skilled one. I really love it. So first it was discovered just a little piece of it. So probably I think it was the first time when the whole taxa was named just having a little tooth. Yeah, so right now it was reclassified like a different kind of taxa.
Just completely.
Yeah, every new study, every new find, like possibly could change all the rest.
But we have more pieces of it now.
Yes.
Because I would think there's no way you could build a model on just a tooth.
Yeah, so initially it was just a tooth.
Right. I don't even understand how you go about. How would you know one tooth from another?
They're completely different. So when we look at the teeth, we can tell if it was carnivore or herbivore or probably like omnivores. So they ate everything.
So that's your favorite because is it the most intelligent that we know of the dinosaurs?
Yeah, one of the reasons it was also omnivores. So I think on the evolution it was like very highly advanced dinosaur.
What do we know about what it would have done that would have made it so intelligent?
Adaptations. So when we talk about intelligence, so we can think, I watched a really interesting documentary right now when Trodon was one of the stars. So it took a little insect and it brought the insect to the stream. It put it like a fishing rod and it caught a fish.
Really?
So of course it's all made up.
Right.
But this is the way I'm looking at all this highly intelligent Trodon who possibly could use this like skills.
How did they know that? That's not just the filmmaker's imagination. They have some evidence of that, right?
No, we can't like prove the social behavior. Yeah, so this is like very controversial, but we can guess.
This is great.
This is like the way we can think about all these highly advanced theropods.
Right. Can you imagine what the dinosaurs would have done with another few million years of evolution too?
I read some really fun studies, so that theropods would probably replace humankind, if not the asteroid. So they would be very advanced, like very intelligent. I don't know.
Because mammals wouldn't have been able to sort of, come into fruition really.
Yeah.
It was the fact that mammals could walk around and not get eaten by dinosaurs that were so much bigger.
That is interesting, but if you think about like when mammals evolved and when dinosaurs evolved, it's pretty much the same time.
Right. And they slipped under the radar after that, the asteroid event.
Yeah, so the first dinosaurs appeared 250 million years ago. It's pretty much the same time as the first mammals. The first true mammals appeared, and they lived and developed together.
I think the thing that, when you mention thinking about, okay, how intelligent would a dinosaur be? I think the thing that's crazy is that we're judging that on the scale of what we believe would be intelligent. Like we have a certain perception of what is intelligent, and for us, it's what it's using tools, it's cooking, it's communication, it's the ability to, I guess, use imagination.
There are different scales.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're talking about mammals, there is one formulas and one scale. If we're talking about reptiles, this is quite a different scale. If we're talking about birds, this is another different scale. So right now I know that studies put dinosaurs and they're comparing to both reptiles and birds to figure out how smart they were.
Do they rank pretty highly in those categories then?
I would say they were more advanced than reptiles today, like not pretty much as birds.
But again, I mean, that's still on the scale of how we understand intelligence, which is crazy because ultimately, would dinosaurs have gotten to a place where they would have destroyed their own Earth very quickly? I mean, that's not the most intelligent thing, but that's exactly what we're doing.
That's true.
We have our own sort of definition of intelligence, but I'm always kind of blown away by they made it work for a lot longer of a time period than we have. We're going to make ourselves extinct so quickly, and they were able to just keep going and keep surviving. Ultimately, I feel like that would be the greatest intelligence.
That's
the
true.
ability to actually survive.
Yeah, that's interesting to think about it. So our humankind started with using the tools. So I know that a lot of species do use the tools right now, like birds, for example, and possibly dinosaurs did.
Right. And primates, I think, are starting to use tools now as well.
Yeah.
I've heard that they're starting to enter their own sort of Stone Age. That's crazy.
Birds, they,
Yeah.
they can do the same, so they can use like a sticks, or crows, they're so intelligent.
There's some animals that cook. There's some animals that use either they know to eat food that comes from forest fires, which isn't necessarily cooking, but I know that there are some animals that will bury things to let them ferment, and then they'll eat that, which is essentially cooking.
There are a lot of, yes, and by the way, there are a lot of dinosaurs who were burying the dens, so they were living like in a den.
They were
Like a
creating
like-
shelter. They
Yeah.
were possibly storing things.
So this is one of the example how probably mammals did survive the asteroid impact. So they
Was-
were pretty small and
Yeah.
they live in a dens.
Hmm.
But we know that a lot of dinosaurs did that too at the same time.
But they still weren't able to survive.
We don't know. I think a lot of exploring are required in Africa and Australia, so to fill some gaps
Yeah.
in evolution, yeah.
And at the same time, I mean, it's not like there's one moment and all the dinosaurs are gone. I mean, we're still talking about a period of time where they're dying off, but it's still probably got to be like a good long period of time for that.
In evolution, I would say it was pretty like narrow line.
Hmm.
So if you look, for example, like formations, and there are a lot of animals and bones and like everything 66 and below, but there are like nothing above. So we can tell that it happened really quickly.
But still, I'm saying just sort of relatively quickly.
Yes.
Like even if you
relative.
think about humans wiping ourselves out with some sort of mass nuclear attack or something,
Yeah.
there's still going to be some humans that will survive. There'll be some ones that, whatever, the preppers who built themselves an underground cave, but the odds that they're going to repopulate the earth still are sort of low.
I think our understanding is probably developing in this way as well. So I read a few studies about ammonites. We all think that ammonites went extinct around 66 million years ago, but in Europe there are few that probably went through the extinction. So I think more studies needed for this.
Right. Is this something that I feel like this is something that we don't prioritize though. We don't end up doing a lot of this study. It's certainly not, maybe it's not flashy enough, or there's not a lot of money in it.
I think financial situation in paleontology is not like in space science, unfortunately.
We put money into the future and the present.
Yeah.
We're not very good at putting money into the past.
Yeah, geology and paleontology, yeah. We could do more.
We could. But at the same time, I sort of understand the mindset not to. Well, not that we shouldn't, because obviously we should. It would be probably really beneficial for a lot of reasons, but it's not as clear of a path towards, we don't feel like we're investing in our future by looking back. You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I can't agree with that.
I don't agree with it either, but I'm saying that's how we look at it. That's how we feel when we look at it. We're saying we got to think about what's next here. We don't think that there might be lessons behind us.
Yeah, studying rocks, and by the way, terraforming, this is also like based on geology, so we should understand how it works.
We may need it.
Yeah, we should need it. Yeah.
What do you think about, so just to bring some more crazy theories into this, I love any crazy scientific theory.
I love to.
Like, I'll just run it down. That sounds good. I watched the Flat Earth documentary. I thought it was pretty cool. I think it's dumb, but I think a lot of people. One of the most interesting things from that documentary was specifically the conversation around, here's a big group of people who want to be engaged scientifically, and they're not actually able to be a part of the conversation. Mainstream science just says, you're stupid. I can think that the theory is stupid, or is, ignoring a lot of facts, but I don't think that any of the people are necessarily stupid. I think it's people who've been left behind somehow by science.
Or probably they have a critical mind.
Right, exactly. They want to understand, but this is a sort of an odd path to go on. It's a strange hill to die on too. I mean, we just saw it with SpaceX. They just launched, and you see the whole video footage of the whole dang thing.
That was unbelievable.
Yeah.
That's such a huge step for all of us.
It is. It is. Private manned spaceflight.
I
Here we
know.
are. You
Wow.
can buy your ticket.
I know.
Probably can.
Okay.
I can't afford
I
it.
can't.
But maybe one day.
Hopefully.
It's like the first car. Nobody could afford that.
That's true. And then it was like in masses, yeah.
So anyway, the crazy science theories. So one of the crazy science theories that I love is this idea that potentially humans on Earth came from another planet. This is one of the...
That is not honestly a crazy idea.
It could make sense at a certain point.
It could make sense, that's true. So
We actually fully forgot where we came from.
that's true. Yeah, so the life, when it originated on our planet, like 3.6 billion years ago, it was a time of the heavy bombardment. So technically, we could be from another place. It's quite scientific.
We may not be native to this planet at all.
Probably not.
That's nuts.
This is the theory that the life was brought by an asteroid.
Sure. That certain like microorganisms would be on
Yeah.
an asteroid?
Single-celled, yeah.
Wow. I guess it's possible.
I wouldn't be surprised.
But why would there be microorganisms on an asteroid, though? How would they have come about there?
So the life was developed somewhere else.
Oh, I see.
Then, for example, this like little planet was destroyed or something like that. So little microorganisms.
Can microorganisms survive in the vacuum of space?
Yeah,
Really?
some yes.
Wow. And then potentially evolve to make us.
Yep.
That's the thing I've heard about octopus, since
Oh yeah,
they just don't make sense. They don't match the evolutionary features of like anything else.
that's true.
They're so out there that it's
And
like,
that's so smart.
yeah, they have 8 brains.
Yeah.
We've just got the one. And mine is pretty blown today because we've seen a lot of things. We've talked about a lot of strange things, but I think that's fun.
That's fun. Yeah.
So, on a fun note then, obviously one of the things that you love most about Washington has to be the fact that you can go out and do this, and there's so much to be discovered so close to home. As a traveler, I like to get the thoughts of my guests on why they love the place they are. So what is it that you love about Washington?
I love nature. It's unbelievable, so beautiful. You can go like everywhere. Canada is close, California is close, Oregon is close. So, and itself, Washington is the best place, I would say. We have Puget Sound, we have mountains.
And you're quite a boater too, aren't you?
I love boating. So if it's not astrophysics or paleontology, I would do boating.
Yeah, but I feel like you have such a broad range of things that you actually get into.
Yeah, still can choose.
Yeah. Well, that's good. I don't think anybody should choose. I think we should all go about doing all the different weird things we like.
I agree.
I think I'm quite hard to define too. Like I think if you looked at all the different things I'm into, it'd be like the podcast is even just a chance for that, a chance for me to
I
meet
love your
someone and just learn
podcast.
a new thing. Thank you. It's really nice. I think that's it. I don't have a snappy wrap up on this episode. I think unlike some other episodes where we talk about things that I actually know a little bit of, this is sort of a first for me in terms of I just knew nothing before we came out today. I just knew so little. I'd never known what to look for when it came to a fossil. I can't say that it's something I had even done that much. Of course, as a kid, I love dinosaurs and stars, but it's something that's we all, I think, grow so far away from as we get older, which is unfortunate.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to be awakened to that, and hopefully people can go look for
They're
fossils
everywhere.
and get into this, because they are everywhere. So can you give us your social media handles so that people can go and find you?
Yeah, ALENA, Sky Sail.
Sail, S-A-I-L,
Yeah, like sailboat, sail.
Alena Sky Sail on Instagram.
Yep.
And I will be posting the pictures from our fossil hunt on my Instagram. As always, at @THicksonLife, and you can tweet me at @THicksonLife. Andrew and I have some big travels coming up. We're about to head across the country, so I don't know how the episodes are going to look for a minute. It's a lot harder when we're in transit to do episodes, so maybe I'll do some remote episodes or something, but stay tuned because I'm sure I'll find something interesting to get into. Check out these fossil hunting pictures because we found some cool stuff. And thank you everyone for listening. Thank you to our sponsor, Track Farms, for their awesome CBD products. And as always, we'll see you on the next episode.